In 1979, the American toy company Tonka was at the top of their game. Well known for producing die-cast and plastic toys based on off-road and construction-type vehicles, Tonka produced two iconic toys this year. The first was the mighty off-road adventure buggy, based loosely on the Ford Bronco of the time. The second was the Hand Command Turbo Prop, which seems to be based on a Cessna 320 private plane. And today, we'll be taking a look at the Hand Command Turbo Prop, here on Creed's Collection. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Creed's Collection. Today we're looking at the Hand Command Turbo Prop from 1979 by Tonka. The Turbo Prop was designed by Vic Reiling, a former U.S. Navy engineer who, once retired from military service, designed more than 30 toys and games for companies like Milton Bradley, Fisher-Price, and of course, Tonka. The Turbo Prop was not part of any particular line that I could find while researching it. So, it's unique in the fact that it's not based on a comic book, cartoon, movie, or existing property. It's just a really cool toy plane, and that was enough. And now that we know a little bit more about the Turbo Prop, let's go ahead and take a closer look. My favorite thing about this toy right off the bat is that it strikes a perfect balance between looking very realistic and still looking like a toy plane. So at the time, for me, this was a perfect toy because it was a lot more realistic than, say, the Fisher-Price adventure sets, but the realism of G.I. Joe was still a few years away. And even though G.I. Joe figures were a bit too big for this, believe it or not, they still worked. Even though he's used to the Sky Striker, Ace still flew many missions in the Turbo Prop. Even though he was slightly too big for the cockpit, I didn't care. I made it work. And while we're on the subject of the cockpit, here's a better look at the decal for the controls. It actually looks really great after all these years. I'm surprised it's held up so well. And that just goes for the whole plane, really, because I played with this thing hard. So it is the definition of Tonka tough. Alright, now it's time to talk about some features like this switch here, which operates the landing gear. Now the funny thing about this switch is up is actually down, and down is actually up. The whole world is topsy-turvy. Cats and dogs living together. It's mass hysteria. Alright, I feel better now. Anyway, so the wheels are hard plastic, and this thing rolls fantastically. Like, it rolls better than most of the Transformers and toy cars I've shown you. So that alone is impressive. Alright, now I'll take a look at the bottom of the plane. In addition to the landing gear, there is the Hand Command pistol grip and trigger, which of course is where you would hold it, and when you pump that trigger, it makes the prop spin. Now of course the handle's a bit small for my giant man hand now, but when I was a kid it fit really well, and of course this is how I spent most of my time flying it around. So the trigger does still operate the props, it does still work as you can see, but not like it used to. It's a bit stiff and unresponsive, but maybe one day I'll pop this thing open and see if I can figure out how to fix it. Right on the bottom near the handle you can see the copyright information, Tonka 1979. And even though it's not stamped on there, I know it was made in the USA. And in addition to the blue I have, there was also yellow, black, US Air Force, and Army versions. And now for our He-Man size comparison. Obviously He-Man's not taking a flight in the Turbo Prop anytime soon, but that's okay, he's got the Wind Raider, so he's got it covered. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy review for the Hand Command Turbo Prop from 1979 by Tonka. Like I said earlier in the review, this is one of my favorite toys of all time. I played with this so much growing up, and it crossed over into so many other toy lines. So I've been wanting to review this for a really long time, but I was hesitant because it doesn't have a backstory or a plot. But you know what? It didn't need it. And I'm glad I finally got around to reviewing it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I review a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday. So I hope to see you next week and every week after, here on Creed's Collection.